In the heart of this town, where the blue-collar folks roam, you'll find a scene that makes the everyday soul.
Welcome, everyone, to the Penn Setters Podcast. I'm your host, Rod, and boy, do we have a treat for you today. We're talking about something every bowler, from casual league night warriors to PBA pros, has experienced, but thankfully, most of us haven't done it on national television. I'm talking about the dreaded gutter ball, especially when the stakes are sky high. And to help me dive into this wonderfully awkward topic, I've got a fantastic new guest with us today, a past PBA regional tournament participant, Eli. Eli, welcome to the show.
Rod, thanks for having me. It's great to be here. And you hit the nail on the head. We've all been there. That feeling of releasing the ball and instantly knowing, oh no, this isn't going where it's supposed to. But yeah, the national TV part, that's a whole different level of oh no.
Most definitely. It's that bittersweet moment, right? You've climbed the mountain, you're on the biggest stage, a full rack of pins staring at you, and then, poof, gutter. It's like a pro golfer shanking a putt on the 18th hole of the Masters. My first real memory of tuning into pro bowling, which, for me it was always ABC's Wide World of Sports on Saturday afternoons, though I'm not 100% sure the match I'm thinking of was exactly that program, but I just remember being glued to the screen. It was one of those championship finals.
The classic era, man. Those Saturday afternoon broadcasts were iconic for so many of us.
Absolutely. I mean, I'd seen Earl Anthony's 299 in the early to mid-70s, where he absolutely smoked the first 11, then threw a perfect ball in the 12th, and just left that clean 9-pin. You felt it. But this match I'm thinking of, it was between right-hander Paul Colwell and the great left-hander, Dave Davis, sometime in the mid-70s. The game was super tight, really down to the wire. Colwell comes up for his 10th frame, and I'm not even sure if he was on a mark, but he steps up, takes his shot, and it just veers right into the gutter. Right there on the first ball of his final frame, full rack waiting.
Oh man, you could feel that from your couch, I bet.
You really could. It was gut-wrenching. But here's the kicker. He comes back, converts the spare, which, get this, sent the game into a tie. And then Colwell actually won the roll-off. So Eli, from a pro's perspective, what is going through your mind in that exact moment, before the ball even gets away, when it does, and then how in the world do you mentally regroup to convert that spare when your tournament life is on the line?
That's a fantastic question, Rod, and honestly, it's not usually about the TV cameras at that point. By the time you're in a championship match, you've probably been on TV a few times, or at least you're so zoned in on the game, the lights are just background noise. What usually happens, in my experience, is you're trying to make a really good shot, maybe you're trying to give the ball a little extra room on the lane to hit the pocket just right, and you just overplay it. You miss your target by just a hair and that ball just finds the channel. It's not nerves from the crowd, it's usually an overread or an execution error.
So it's not the pressure of the moment necessarily, but trying to be too perfect?
Exactly. You're trying to coax the ball into the perfect line and you just push it a little too far. Now, as for regrouping for the spare, that's where experience kicks in. You have to immediately forget that first ball. It's gone. It happened. You can't change it. Your mind switches instantly to, okay, this is just a single pin spare, or a simple makeable spare. You go back to basics, you visualize the shot, pick your mark, and just try to roll a clean ball, almost like you're trying to roll a strike on a fresh lane. You strip away all the context and just execute the fundamental. It's easier said than done, of course, but that's the mental training that kicks in.
Wow, strip away all the context. That's powerful. It's incredible that Colwell did that and won. What a recovery. But not every story ends with a win, right? I remember another one, early 80s, Storm DeVincent. He was trailing Bob Hanley by a single pin heading into the 10th frame. The tension was palpable. DeVincent steps up, first ball for a spare, and straight into the gutter.
The Storm. That one was tough to watch. He was such a talent.
Yeah, he was. He did come back to make the spare, just like Colwell, but that gutter ball effectively gave Hanley such an easier path to victory. Hanley then finished strong, 213-193. Eli, what about the heartbreak of that? DeVincent, I think, hadn't won a tour title up until that point, even though he hadn't been on tour for a super long time. To come that close, only for a gutter ball to really put the brakes on it.
That's the kind of moment that sticks with a bowler, both the one who threw it and the one who watched it. It's absolutely heartbreaking, because you know how much work, how much travel, how much sacrifice goes into getting to that position. To be one shot away or even two shots away and have an unforced error like that, it can haunt you. You replay it in your head 1,000 times. Even converting the spare, which is a testament to mental fortitude, doesn't erase the fact that the initial error essentially cost you the title. It changes the entire dynamic of the match and puts the pressure squarely on your opponent to just not mess up, instead of needing to perform under extreme pressure.
Yeah, it's a deflating feeling for sure. And then you have guys like Marshall Holman. Now Holman, he was known for being a bit of a fiery character on the lanes, right? But even he had his moments. I recall an occasion where he rolled back-to-back gutter balls, not in the 10th, but earlier in a game, creating what they called a zero frame. 2 gutter balls in 1 frame. How does that even happen at that level?
Marshall was a legend, an absolute character. And yeah, the zero frame is incredibly rare, especially for someone of his caliber. But it just goes to show you that even the best in the world are human. Sometimes you get so frustrated after that first gutter ball, you try to overcorrect, or you just lose focus for that second shot. Maybe he tried to throw it too hard, or maybe he was so mad at himself he rushed the second shot. It's a complete mental lapse compounded by frustration. It's hard to imagine, but it happens. You just want to reset and forget that frame ever happened.
Forget it, move on, yeah. But speaking of unforgettable, let's talk about arguably the most famous gutter ball in the 10th frame. The one that probably still makes Del Ballard Jr. break out in a cold sweat. It was against Pete Weber. Ballard rolls a doubleheader in the 10th, brings the title within seemingly easy grasp. He needed a 6 on his last ball for a tie, 7 for the win, and he rolls it right into the gutter. Pete Weber, you know PDW, the showman, just stands there, shocked. Eli, what's your reaction to that one? That was just, ouch.
Oh, Del Ballard Jr. That one is etched into every bowling fan's memory. It's the ultimate what-if moment. The situation you described, needing only 6 pins for a tie, 7 for the win, that's usually a chip shot for a pro. You don't even need a perfect strike. Any kind of decent hit usually gets you there. But that's the thing about pressure, Rod. When you know you only need 6, sometimes your brain just short-circuits. You try to guide it too much, you tense up, you release it improperly. It's not a physical mistake as much as a mental one. The fear of failure or maybe even the premature celebration in your head can cause that. It's a tragic moment because he had done all the hard work to get to that point and it just slipped away.
Absolutely heartbreaking. And it's those moments that, they make for great TV, but you just feel for the competitor. Now, moving to something more recent, but almost a comedy of errors, was the 2024 Tournament of Champions. Marshall Kent eventually won it, but his run was just wild. It felt like a roller coaster of brilliant shots and almost unbelievable misses. What were your thoughts watching that unfold?
The 2024 TOC, yeah, that was certainly a memorable one, and not just for the good shots. It really highlighted the extreme highs and lows that can happen under that kind of pressure. And I think it also spoke to the difficulty of the oil patterns that day. You just saw so many uncharacteristic misses from top-tier talent. It felt like a psychological battle as much as a physical one.
His first game against Jason Sterner, the announcers kept saying Sterner had gone clean all week, which is hard to believe, no open frames at all. But then he comes out on the telecast and opens with 4 open frames in a row. Had a score of 33 after 4 frames. That must have set a tone, right?
It absolutely sets a tone. When you're supposedly clean all week and then you start the biggest telecast of the tournament like that, it's just mind-boggling. It has to be nerves, or maybe he just couldn't find the line on the fresh pattern. But watching that, you almost feel a sense of relief if you're his opponent, Marshall in this case, because the pressure on you eases up just a little. You still have to perform, but you're not fighting an uphill battle from the first ball. It allows you to maybe take a breath and relax into your own game.
And then in Game 2, Kent himself rolls a 6-bagger to start against Matt Ogle, just looking unstoppable. And then, out of nowhere, throws a gutter ball that goes about 3/4 of the way down the lane before just veering into the channel. You just saw him slump. How do you go from pure perfection to that kind of a miss?
That's another classic example of what can happen when you have a big lead. After a six-bagger, you're feeling invincible, right? Maybe you get a little complacent or you try to keep that perfect shot going and overthink it. Sometimes when you're so far ahead, your focus drops just a fraction. You don't have the same intense pressure to hit a specific mark, so you relax too much. That gutter ball 3/4 down the lane means he just missed his release point completely, or maybe he tried to change something subtle that just went wrong. It's a lapse in concentration, even though he recovered and won that game, which shows his resilience.
He definitely had to recover a lot that day. Then in the semifinal against E.J. Tackett, Kent gets a comeback strike, or what they sometimes call a backdoor strike, off the head pin, when he was actually trailing Tackett. It felt like that might have rattled Tackett, because shortly after, he missed a simple 10-pin. And then Kent takes control, and could have iced the game in the 9th frame. He was on a strike in the 8th, and then just takes 3 pins off the right corner, leading to an open frame. Let Tackett right back in it.
It was truly a back-and-forth psychological battle. That backdoor strike, even if it's lucky, can absolutely shift momentum. It feels like the universe is on your side, and it can definitely get into your opponent's head, especially when they follow it up with a miss like a single 10-pin. And then Marshall's miss in the 9th, taking off just a few pins, that's excruciating. He had control, and again, either overthinking or just a moment of losing that sharp focus. It opens the door for your opponent and gives them renewed hope. It's like, here's a gift, take it if you can.
Which Tackett couldn't. He rolled a pretty bad 10th frame, leaving that tough 3-6-9-10 spare break, didn't convert, and Kent gets another win. Then, against Anthony Simonson in the final, Kent once again could have put the game away with a mark in the 10th, but he misses the head pin, leaves a washout, and then misses the head pin on the second shot. Simonson then needed a double header. He got the first strike, but got tapped on the second. Though to be fair, Simonson himself had a 7-frame in the middle to latter stages of the game, which ultimately cost him.
Yeah, that match was just wild. Both players seemed to be battling the lanes and their own heads. Kent's repeated misses in crucial moments show how difficult those patterns were, and the pressure of a final. But Simonson's 7-frame, that's just devastating. You can recover from a single open, but a 7-frame in a championship match, that's almost impossible to come back from unless your opponent completely melts down. It shows that even the best in the world under the bright lights can just have a string of bad luck or bad execution that decides a match, regardless of how strong they are otherwise.
Honestly, watching that TOC, I completely understand that the oiling pattern was probably what caused a lot of those errant pitches from Kent and others. But even considering that, it's hard for me to conceive how a bowler of championship caliber could roll one gutter ball that dropped into the channel at or beyond the 3/4 mark, and then about a game later to just take 3 pins off the right corner. I mean, I've never witnessed that kind of specific miss on a TV telecast. It just seems so uncharacteristic for a top pro. It truly highlights that the game is definitely different now compared to the old days, and that certainly needs consideration when watching these guys.
You're absolutely right, Rod. The oil patterns today are so much more complex and challenging. They break down differently, they transition faster, and they demand extreme precision. What might have been a good ball 5 frames ago can now be a gutter ball if you don't adjust precisely. And that specific 3 pins off the corner shot, yeah, that's rare for a pro. It signals a complete breakdown in timing or target acquisition, something you just don't see often. It tells you the mental fatigue was real and the lanes were just unforgiving. The game has evolved. It's not just about power anymore, it's about adaptability and precise reading of the lanes every single shot.
Adaptability and mental resilience. That really sums up everything we've talked about today. From Colwell's unbelievable comeback to Ballard's heartbreaker and Kent's wild ride, these moments remind us how human even the greatest athletes are, and how incredible it is when they pull off the impossible. Eli, this has been an absolutely fascinating discussion. Thank you so much for joining me today and sharing your insights.
Glad to be here, Rod. It's always fun to relive these moments and talk about the mental game of bowling. Thanks for having me.
And thank you all for tuning in to the Pin Setters podcast. We'll catch you next time. Stay clean out there. Well, mostly.
So next time you're looking to roll with your mates, know the joy of bowling celebrates all fates, with every strike ringing out like a song in this blue-collar game. You know we all belong. You know we all belong.
From the record from the year 1989, Voss pulls out PBA victory. Brian Voss of Seattle won his second straight Professional Bowlers Association title Saturday, edging Walter Ray Williams Jr. 245 to 223 to capture the $200,000 Don Carter's Greater New Orleans Classic. Voss is the defending champion at next week's True Value Open in Peoria, Illinois, and can tie a PBA record if he wins his third straight there. Top-seeded Voss and Williams began the title game of the stepladder finals with 3 strikes each, but in the fourth frame, Voss converted a 9-count spare, and Williams picked up an 8-count leave to take a 1-pin lead over Williams. Despite throwing every shot in or near the strike pocket, Williams could not recover, and Voss sewed up the $38,000 first-place check when he felled 9 pins on his first shot of the final frame. From the year 1995 in the Monitor, Shirey defeats Perez for LPBT title. Sandra Jo Shirey beat Rachel Perez 216 to 203 last Thursday to capture the $60,000 South Texas Open in Corpus Christi. It was Shirey's 7th Ladies Pro Bowling Tour title. It was the second stop on the LPBT Winter Tour. The Texas Border Shootout in McAllen earlier this month was the first stop. Shirey of Bronson, Michigan earned $10,800. Perez of San Antonio won $5,400. The crucial shot came when Perez left a 10-pin in the 5th frame and missed the spare. That caused her lead to shrink from 21 pins to 10. Perez did not strike again until the 10th frame. Shirey marked the rest of the way. In the opening game, Perez routed defending champion Kim Adler 192 to 129, with Adler opening in 6 frames. Perez then downed Tracy Masunaga of El Cerrito, California, 226 to 182. In the semifinal, Perez defeated Carol Norman of Oklahoma City, 185 to 157. The tour now moves on to Claremore, Oklahoma for this week's $60,000 Claremore Classic. From the year 1978 in the Miami Herald, Confident Semez eyes bowling's top check. Last year, Tita Semez won $14,000 when he defeated Marshall Holman in the final of the $100,000 Burger King Open at Don Carter's Kendale Lanes. If he repeats as champion, Semez would win $30,000, the largest championship check ever offered on the Professional Bowlers Association Tour. "It's great for the game. It's what we need," Semez said. "Before, you might cash in a lot of tournaments all year and not even win $30,000. And now you have a shot at $30,000 in one tournament." Semez made a superb comeback in the Burger King qualifying last year, winning 13 of 16 games on Friday night. On TV, he beat Steve Neff, Mark Roth, and Holman. "I always thought I could win on TV," Semez said, "but I guess subconsciously I didn't think so. After all, I had appeared on the TV show 9 times and had promptly lost my first game each time. But in the Burger King tournament, I turned all that around. I killed the barrier and buried it." Semez says last year's victory will add to his confidence during the March 1 through 4 competition at Kendale Lanes. "I think any bowler who wins in a bowling house feels confident when he comes back. You just feel like you're going to bowl well there again." From the Rockford Register-Star from the year 1987. LPBT won't give up without a fight. The Rockford-based Ladies Pro Bowler Tour does not intend to give up without a fight with the rival Touring Players Association, a new pro women's bowling group which was announced Tuesday. "We're not going to give up," said Bill Vint, LPBT publicity chief. What the TPA is trying to do is difficult enough without opposition, and they are opposed. LPBT President John Falzone, under fire from some players for, among other things, his inability to assemble a winter tour, announced last week that 13 tournaments would be televised by ESPN. The first, April 12 through 18, is the $200,000 Women's U.S. Open in Mentor, Ohio. Co-sponsored by Seagram's Cooler and the Bowling Proprietors Association of America, it is the richest women's tournament in history. Vince said the LPBT is not ready to announce sites for the other 12 tournaments. In the meantime, the TPA has scheduled 5 tournaments on dates that conflict with the LPBT's schedule with ESPN, a move that is not coincidental, Vince said. TPA's president is Pat Costello, a pro from Merritt Island, Florida, and its commissioner is Loa Boxberger, a former pro and WIBC Hall of Famer. Boxberger was fired last fall after 1 year as commissioner of the LPBT. Boxberger was installed as LPBT commissioner in October 1985 to appease players who felt they did not have enough voice in the operation of the tour. I was fired because, well, the LPBT will tell you I broke them, she said from Nashville, Tennessee, where she was making a promotional appearance with Dick Weber. I do things first class. I think the women who make their living bowling deserve it. The LPBT will tell you that we're some wild group out here, but we're not. Boxberger said she was contacted about organizing tournaments around Christmas by several pros, including Costello. The players who make their livelihood are the ones most affected when there are no tournaments to bowl, she said. Cancellation of the LPBT's winter Florida schedule meant there were no tournaments between November '86 and summer '87, if they have any then. So, Boxberger has put together a 3-event, $75,000 winter tour in Florida, landing Ebonite as the sponsor. Tournaments are scheduled March 23 through 28 at Shore Lanes in Merritt Island, March 30 through April 4 at Fort Pierce Bowl, and April 5 through 9 at Bel Air Lanes in Daytona Beach. In addition, the TPA has 5 summer tournaments beginning in late July in South Bend, Indiana, Detroit, Saginaw, Michigan, Rochester, and Syracuse, New York. Costello said she had the support of 15 to 20 leading pros, including Player of the Year Lisa Wagner, Rookie of the Year Wendy McPherson, Nikki Giannoulias, Alita Sill, and Jeannie Maiden. The LPBT doesn't have the ability to sell the ladies' tour, Maiden said. I'm sure there's going to be controversy. I'm sure the LPBT is scared because most of the girls are going to bowl the 3 tournaments in Florida. It's sure going to be interesting at the U.S. Open. The pros may end up having to make a choice, go with the LPBT, which has the ESPN agreement, or with the TPA, which seems at this point to have better connections with sponsors and proprietors. It's unfortunate that the proprietors have been misled by a small group of players who are dissatisfied with what's going on, Vince said. Not that we've done anything wrong. If women's pro bowling is ever going to accomplish what the players insist they want, you have to have national TV. It does not make us feel good that we are going to have to develop tournaments to compete with Rochester and Syracuse. But the TPA has the potential right now to destroy their position on TV for years to come. Vince said there were no winter events because the times offered by ESPN were unacceptable. Many players and the proprietors who signed with the TPA are not convinced television is the panacea for the sport's poverty-induced ills. TV is not a necessity just to get the exposure we deserve, Maiden said. Said Vint, the players are confused. There are rumors all over. They're trying to destroy our credibility. But we don't think that the dignity of this organization merits slinging mud. From the Evening Sun from the year 1949. 88 average duck pinner sets city high game mark. Doris Tracy, an 88 average roller, completely unknown to the rank and file of Baltimore's bowling fraternity, crashed Duckpins' local Hall of Fame this week by piling up a citywide season-high 183 game in league play. Highest women's game previously reported here this campaign was 176, posted by Ruth Zentz in the Bowling Exchange Major. Miss Tracy banged her 183 in Baltimore Life Mixed League action at Recreation Bowl, followed with 101 and 79 for a 3-game 363 series. Her 183 easily wiped out teammate Mary Russell's 147 as a loop record, that is the league record. Her 363 beat Gladys Beck's standing 348, and the latter count paced her squad, inappropriately tabbed the Stinkers, to a team high of 1,500 for a set. In reaching 183, Doris opened with 2 spares and 4 straight strikes, then rolled 4 flat boxes with the loss of only 1 pin. From the year 1961 in the Scrantonian Tribune. Bowling ball with a handle. The newest innovation in bowling, a ball with a handle, is about to hit the market. A Chicago bowling fan has invented the new device that he is confident will replace the 3-finger-hole grip that is difficult for some bowlers to master. It is called the Natural Grip Ball. It will retail for $39.95 and will come in weights 12, 14, and 16 pounds. The ball has a retractable 4-inch polycarbon handle which, according to the inventor, fits everyone, provides more hand comfort, is easier to handle, and offers everyone an opportunity to increase their striking power. The ball is being made by the Illinois Metal Products of Chicago. The company has high hopes of getting into the rich bowling ball market. An estimated 26 million bowlers spent about $1 billion a year for their sport. A survey has disclosed that between 2.5 and 3 million balls are sold each year. From the year 1968 in the Stamford Advocate. Here's another bowling hint from the Dr. X Bowling Clinic. Bowling Tips by Don Carter. Give yourself a lift. One thing I do that not all bowlers follow is the lift before the approach motion begins. That is, I lift the ball, supported by my left hand, before I set myself for the first step and push away, that being the right step. This serves to loosen my shoulders and keeps me ready for the smooth action to follow. From the Miami Herald from the year 1978. Couture tops Davis for first PBA title. Pete Couture survived a mild scare and beat Dave Davis 223 to 187 Saturday to win the $100,000 Greater New Orleans Bowling Championships, his first Professional Bowlers Association title. Couture built a 40-pin lead midway through the match, but a split coupled with 3 strikes in a row by Davis cut the lead to 10 pins. Couture, who earned $15,000, locked up the match with strikes in the 8th, 9th, and first ball in the 10th. Don Johnson finished third, followed by Jerry Smith and Charlie Venable. From the year 1980 in the Saginaw News. Wooden ball found. Hedrick, new owner of 80-year-old bowling ball. Robert Hedrick of 3234 Carter says he's dying to try out an antique bowling ball he received as a gift from his son, but he's afraid of what might happen to the ball, estimated to be at least 80 years old. I'd like to try it, but I'm afraid it would mess up the pin setter machine, said Hedrick. The ball hasn't been used in a long time and it could break. Hedrick said the ball was one of two found during a cleanup operation at the old Bethlehem Lutheran Church on Oak Street. Because of that find, it is believed that there were bowling alleys in the building at one time. My son, Donald, found it and gave it to me for Christmas, said Hedrick. There was some money stuffed in the holes, too, he said with a laugh. Hedrick says the ball is solid wood. It looks like it was made out of a knot, said the 72-year-old retired Saginaw steering gear employee. He bowls weekly in the Saginaw Lutheran League at Stardust Lanes. Well, I try to bowl anyway, he said. Hedrick says the ball doesn't offer any clues as to where and when it was constructed. There aren't any marks or initials on it, he said. Ed Markow, curator of the Bowling Hall of Fame and Museum at bowling headquarters in Greendale, Wisconsin, says the ball was probably made before the turn of the century. Until about 1905, that was the only kind of bowling ball used, said Markow, who has about 24 of the bowling relics either on display or in storage at the museum's temporary quarters near Milwaukee. In a couple of years, all of the bowling memorabilia will be shipped to St. Louis, Missouri, to be put on permanent display in the new Hall of Fame and Museum there. Markow said the Brunswick Balk Colander Company, the forerunner of the giant Brunswick Corporation, came out with the first hard rubber bowling balls about 1905. That sounded the death knell of the wooden ball, he said. The rubber balls were easier to obtain and much more durable. They'll last forever. Before that, most wooden balls were turned on a type of lathe. Most of them were made in New York City, presumably in furniture businesses. Markow says most of the wooden balls the museum has are made out of lignum vitae, a very dense wood obtained from trees in the tropics. He said the wood does not float in water. We hardly have any history on these bowling balls. Our public relations department here was a small operation until about 1940. People find these old bowling balls in attics and cellars, but we can't find out much about where they came from originally. Markow said the bowling balls the museum has were donated by individuals all over the country. It's rather unusual because there is no market for bowling antiques, he said. People try to sell them, but it's not like old baseball cards or other collectibles. Hedrick said he isn't sure of what he will do with his antique bowling ball. I've never been much for antiques, he said. If I could get something out of it, I might sell it, but probably not. I'd really like to try it, he said. Well, I think we'll wrap it up for today. Thanks again for stopping by and tuning in to our revised format of the This Day in Bowling History podcast. As usual, if you'd like to be notified of future videos when they become available and are published, feel free to hit the subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner of the videos or the YouTube screen. Have a wonderful weekend, and I look forward to seeing you on the upcoming Monday, and hopefully we'll have a few more enhancements to the podcast. So take care.